So this time we will learn about functions in Python. So why exactly do we need functions? There are two main reasons. The first one is to make the logic reusable and compact. So what reusable means? Let's say you have written a big algorithm to isolate voice from a noisy data, and this algorithm you need to use multiple times on different data sets. So instead of writing the algorithm again and again, we can write a function or a wrapper for the algorithm. Then we can call the function with the intended data, and we can execute the methods inside the function. The second one is very important. Let's go with your algorithm again. But this time this algorithm is so complex that a lot of study is required to understand the algorithm. Now not everyone is not required to understand it to actually implement the algorithm inside a application. That's why functions are very important to abstract away the complexity of a method. So you are already using functions. For example, the print statement, this is a function. So I will do print anything, which will actually print anything in the console. But if you hover over the function itself, you can see that print is a function and there is a keyword called def. So let's see the syntax for writing a function. So to define a function, we have to use the keyword def. After that we have to give it a unique name. So if you are using some name for a variable already and you want to use that name again, then the variable will be overwritten, and whatever the variable will hold, the data type will be a function. So after def, you have to give the function name, and then you have to use round brackets. I'll come back to these round brackets very soon, and after these round brackets you have colon. So after colon, we are inside the scope of the function. So inside the scope, we can write any kind of logic we want, and then we can end the function with a return keyword. This return keyword will return none if we don't want to explicitly return anything, or we can choose to return a value from inside the function to the outside of this scope. So let's define our first function. So over here, def is the keyword which is telling Python that the next thing whatever I am going to write is a function, and after the function name, which I have named it my underscore function, I have put the round brackets, and after the round brackets I have this colon. So next we are inside the scope of this function, and we can write any kind of logic inside the function. So print hello world from my function. So let's see what this print output looks like. So if I do, you can see that this print output is missing. So nothing actually happened because we have only declared the function, not called it. So let's call the function. So anywhere in the script after defining the function, I can do my function, then these round brackets to call the function. As you can see, as I have called the function, this time we can see the print message. Now arguments in a function is very important. This round brackets is used to define arguments for the function. So over here I am creating a function called addNums, and I am passing two arguments to this function, which is num1 and num2. So these are variable names to hold the values that I want to pass into this function. Then inside the function I can do any kind of operation with the arguments, and I can create output which I will print over here. So let's call this addNums function, and as you can see this addNums, after that when you are calling the function we are also passing the arguments. So we are passing 5 and 10. So 5 will be the value of num1 and 10 will be the value of num2 when you call this function. As you can see, the output should be 5 plus 10, 15, and the print message also confirms that. Now printing a value like this is not very useful inside a function, because a function is supposed to abstract away and give you more functionality inside your code. So what we will do, return this output instead of printing it. So same as before, but instead of this print message, now we have return output. So let's call this function, and whatever is returned from this addNums function, I will want to store that inside this answer. Now if I print the answer variable, I can see that 4 plus 2, 6 is returned. Now how these arguments are related to the function definition, let's see. Now over here I have created a function which takes 2 arguments, but the only second argument is being used. So let's call this function. As you can see that only num2 has been printed, which was 2. Now we can choose to give them in a different order also by specifying which variable name should go to which value. For that we will use the same variable name that is inside the function definition, and we can use the assignment operator to assign the value directly to that parameter. So let's see. This time I have kept num2 as 1. As expected, 1 has been printed because this is num2 right now and we want to print only num2. Now sometimes it may happen you don't know how many arguments the function will require. For that we have this args method. So in this, instead of naming the parameters directly, we can do star then a parameter name, and let's see what this does. As you can see, the star args can take many values, but when we define args with a star in front of it in a function definition, it actually becomes a tuple. So we can pass multiple values inside this function and all those values will be stored inside args as a tuple. As you can see, the type of args is a tuple and it is holding our values 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. We can also do indexing over this tuple. And we can call any function multiple times without affecting its other calls. So we just saw that if we put star in front of any parameter name, that becomes a tuple. So if we put double star in front of any parameter name, that will actually become a dictionary. And this method of taking parameters in a function is known as keyword arguments or kwargs. So let's call this function. As you can see that the kwargs is actually of type dict, and the dictionary over here we can see it, and from that dictionary we can use any key to get the value. So for the key that is name, my value is ROUNAK. Now over here I have written a small function, but as you can see after the vector parameter I have also another parameter called k, but in the function definition itself I have assigned it a value of 6. So if I call this function with k equals to 0 and run it, we can see everything is 0 because all the vector values are being multiplied by 0. But if you don't want to assign a specific value to k, then the default value, which is 6, will be taken. So let's run this, and as you can see 3 into 6, which is 18, 4 into 6, which is 24, and 5 into 6, which is 30, has been returned. So this is how you can set a default parameter value in a function. Now that's it for functions right now, but understanding cannot be everything. To use functions in the real scenarios, you need to write applications where you can abstract away the functionality of your program using functions. Next time we will start with class. So thank you.